Tasha, there you go. Let's go. Let's get it cracking right now. Let's see. Let me get you on here. Tasha,
Hey.
what's going on?
What's up?
You got it. You got it. I'm over here playing your single right now to kick the whole show off.
Yeah.
Which is very powerful. So listen, let's dive right into it. You know, they only give us so much time, so let's get into it right now.
Right. Hey, Auntie Leia.
Everybody's joining on. Okay, yeah, y'all come on and join in because we ain't waiting for y'all. We going at it right now. So you know what? Just for starters, I would like for you to, and this is something I like to do at the top of every show, let everybody. I know where you're from because you know you're my niece, but let everybody know where you're from and claim your neighborhood and your school and everything. I need you to do that real quick.
So I am, and the majority of my family, we're born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, Motor City.
Yes.
And I grew up on the west side. So I went to Schultz Elementary School. Then we moved to Oak Park. But as a kid, grew up on at Schultz Elementary School, west side of Detroit, 7 Mile and Myers. 7 Mile, what was that? 7 Mile and 7 Mile and Pinehurst, over there about in Myers area.
Right, yeah. Okay.
West side all day.
West side baby, that's right, west side. Ain't no wrong with east side, but we west side kids.
Yeah. We love the east side, but we grew up west side.
Yeah, and so as a kid growing up in Detroit, how was that for you? What kind of experiences did you have growing up as a kid in Detroit? We're gonna really get off into the big stuff in a minute, but just to let them know, like as a kid growing up in the D, how was it growing up in Detroit as a kid?
It was fun, you know. We used to walk to school because we lived in that house on Pinehurst, so we would walk to school. I remember I got one funny story. I remember Granddad. I don't know why. When I think back now, I don't know why he was standing at the door with a gun. He just happened to be standing at the door with a shotgun, and this boy was chasing me home with a knife.
Oh my goodness! Really?
Yes, because I wouldn't kiss him. This boy chased me home. I was in the 4th grade, and this boy chased me home with a knife. And as soon as I came to the door, Granddaddy was standing at the door with a shotgun.
Wow.
So, like, we got tons of stories like that, man. Like, hopping gates, hopping the fence, going over into the Mumford Field. You know, we just grew up. I feel like I grew up in the last little era of it takes a village. Like, we used to get in trouble by the people next door. It wasn't no like, you can't tell me what to do. No, they could tell us what to do, and they did. Right. You know what I mean? We were a family, the whole block.
Times have definitely changed because now you try to do that, and you're gonna fight the whole block just because you said something to their kid.
Right, and then get sued.
And get sued, exactly. So let me ask you this: at what point? Because you know everybody. At this point, everybody knows that you're a phenomenal singer and songwriter, but it had to start somewhere. So where did it start? At what point did you realize in your young age, at what point did you realize, like, you know what, I can sing, like, you know, this is what I want to do. This is what I can do. So at what point did you realize that?
Well, I was always just in the studio, you know, with you all, with my parents. And when starting out, shout out to Eric Morganson. Maryland. Studio A in Dearborn. A lot of careers got started there. And I was just a little girl that was always in the studio. And they needed a little girl to start doing like jingles and voiceovers and stuff. So that's where I really got my start doing United Way commercials, Dodge Caravan, Chrysler, Bisquick, Kmart, Walmart, from like the age of like 7 to 14.
Yes. I remember those days.
Yeah.
I remember that vividly, yes. Shout out to Eric and Marilyn at Studio A. They're like parents to me. So I really...
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, there was... A group you were in when you were very young with your two sisters, Latia and Satira, called Page 3.
Yes.
Let's talk about Page 3. And you know what? Because you know, you guys used to go around and sing a lot at different churches and at different events, but it was actually the making of who you are right now, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So How did singing with your sister? Shout out to Tia and Satira, my other two nieces, y'all.
Yeah,
But
Satira's on here now.
I see Satira. What's up? What's up? But how did singing with Page 3? How did that impact? How did that mold you into who you are now?
You know, it really gave us the training. You know, we didn't know then. You know, they were just making us sing. And see, Satira, I'm glad she's on here because she's always trying to be the boss of us.
Always.
So Satira was the lead singer of the group, not me.
See, we didn't know that.
Satira was the lead singer of the group. She could sing the highest. So me and Tia and I were just there. We was like hype men. Like, we would do our part, but everybody wanted to see. Satira had people packing out churches. Everybody wanted to see this little girl who can sing and was squalling. Like, Satira was beasting back then.
Yes.
So that's how we really got started. And then, of course, my mom would teach us songs and stuff. But my dad, shout out to my dad, he really like, you know, when my mom was traveling, hey Tia, he really took us around to different talent shows and you know, took us out of town and had us singing in different cities and states and stuff. So, you know, they were raising us together, and each of them contributed something that made me who I am today.
Awesome. That's an awesome story right there. And I remember, you know, of course, us being related, I remember all these events that you're talking about. And Satira definitely had the house packed.
Absolutely. Okay. Satira used to whoop us.
She was the youngest too. She is the youngest. She still is the youngest. But everybody's mama. Everybody. So now transitioning from the Page 3 situation with your sisters, what was the first solo gig that you had as Tasha? What was your first solo gig?
I think my breakout performance, and my mom was there and she cried at my middle school when I was in middle school. And I sung a duet with Bridget Felder, was her name. We were really close in middle school, and we sung "Count on Me" by Whitney Houston and CeCe Winans. And I looked out. I told my mom I was singing, but she didn't know what I had been rehearsing. It was like a surprise, and she had really, you know how you hear somebody humming around the house, but you didn't really hear them. She said that was her first time when she really paid attention. Like, my daughter can really sing, and she has something special. Right. I was in middle school.
Wow. Okay. Yep. Awesome. That was awesome. Awesome. And so, now there's a difference between singing and knowing that you can sing. You know, some people can sing, but you sang. You know, you can sing for real. and that's no shade to nobody else. I'm just talking about what I know about you. You know, at what point did you know you had what it took to be an artist? Because, you know, there's a difference. A lot of people sing in churches on Sunday and they do very well. But that transition from being a praise and worship singer or somebody that sings on Sunday morning at their church into being a solo artist is different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when did you know at what point did you know, like, you know what, I can be an artist. I'm good enough to be that. You know what I'm saying?
I think I found that out when I was traveling with Witness, because when Witness did like a 5 or 6 year hiatus, and then came back with an Appointed Time record. Shameless plug, when We Will Clap Your Hands. Right. It was a single. Thank you. But when Witness came back, and I want to say 2002, 2003-ish, around that time, when we did Appointed Time, and for my mom and my aunts to trust me with something that they built over time, you know what I mean? And my dad to trust me. I was the youngest. They were 20 plus, some of them plus years older than me. Right. And I was in that group. And, you know, we were on stage. We were on BT. We were on TV One. We were on these big stages singing for thousands of people, all on television and everything, traveling. They took me to Germany. They took me to London. You know, so for them to trust me, to know that I was good enough for that, kind of was an eye opener. And then, you know, you would take me in the studio. I was writing with you and Kimmy and demoing songs for y'all. And I was like, all of these people keep giving me chances. I may have something like that. Those around that time, coming out of high school, around maybe I would say like between the ages of like 18 and 22, 18 and 21 was really when I was like, I really can do this. It was because you guys were giving me opportunities, and because you were trusting me with those opportunities, it helped build up my confidence in my craft. Yeah, because I will say this much, you were definitely ahead of your time.
just even just taking you in the studio like we did, I would notice, like, even with your writing, your arrangements, you're a great arranger in the studio.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, just in doing that, I noticed, because I've been doing it for a while prior to me even taking you in the studio, and I noticed then, I said, you know what, she has it, like she got it for real. So I definitely saw that you were ahead of your time. But yeah, that was an awesome time for all of us. And so let me ask you this now. There was a I want to get to this now. I was going to save it, but I want to talk about this now because it's very important. And you have a testimony that where at some point in your life you and I hate to use, but I have to say it like it is. You strayed away from the way you were raised and who you were and who you were brought up to be or be like, and you strayed away a little bit, and you had a pretty difficult journey out there in the world. And I know you talk about it a lot. It's part of your testimony, and so I want to touch on that right now and talk about your journey outside of the will of God. What just kind of kick it off, everybody. Let everybody know what happened.
Well, a lot of people didn't know. Even you didn't know until recently. A lot of people didn't know that when I was young, around in my elementary school days, I was molested.
Okay.
And by close family and family members and stuff. Family members and family friends of my parents.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid to say something. I kept it all the way till I was like 30 years old. I didn't really start talking about this until I went on Sunday Best. And that was in 2013. And this stuff happened starting when I was like 8, 9 years old, all the way to like 11, 12, maybe going into high school.
Okay.
And it was by people that my parents trusted with us to watch us, trusted to care for us while they were working and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was just so devastating to have to live with that all those years. For several reasons. I've seen victim shaming before. I've seen other people try to come forward and say, this happened to me, and nobody believed them. So what would make me what makes me special? You know what I mean? What sets me apart from them that makes me better than them, that, they'll believe me. I didn't think that anyone would believe me. Number two, I didn't want people to look at me like, oh, she's nasty, or I was thinking it was something I did too. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's why I didn't say anything all those years. And then when I went on Sunday Best, I realized, because I knew I wasn't the best singer on the show. You know what I mean? I know what I bring to the table, but I didn't feel like I was the best singer on the show. I didn't go in like, oh, I got this in the bag, I'm a win. I didn't feel like, I really didn't feel like I had it. Once I got on there and they started interviewing me and asking me questions, like how something can happen to you, and the only way for you to cope with it and get through it is to almost make yourself forget about it.
Right.
So I forgot. It was like I had pushed it so far back in my mind and smothered it up so much to where when they started asking me like, so what happened? Can you, questions like, can you think of anything that have happened to you, a traumatic situation? And then it just hit me like, oh man, I was molested. Yeah. Like I had really buried it with jokes, buried it with laughs, buried it with music, buried it with, writing, buried it with, just like pretending like everything was okay and just burying it every day with different things. And then now I have to deal with this on a public platform in front of the world.
Okay.
So because of that though, because of that, it caused me to try to put a Band-Aid over it, to try to cope with it in some way. My mom used to always tell me, and I'm glad this is a Mother's Day show. My mom used to always tell me, God don't have no grandchildren. And I didn't understand what that meant until I got grown. Like, what do you mean he don't have no grandchildren? That means you have to go to him for yourself. Right. You can't always get to him through me. I'm not going to be available all the time for you to be able to call me and say, Ma, I need your prayers. I'm in a situation. You got to know how to call on Jesus for yourself. Absolutely. And so I did not understand the real power of God at that time in my life. So what I did was I turned to drugs. Okay. I was in the studio with different people. I would see different people doing different things. I was around it all the time. And see, the devil is sneaky and cunning because I never had to pay for it.
Right.
I never had to pay for the drugs.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So because of everything that I went through, I was trying to cope with those memories because you that stuff will come back. You'll be thinking about it. People have been depressed. People have killed themselves over stuff like that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I was just smothering it with drugs and just trying to cope with it. And just that's how I ended up getting addicted to cocaine for like 4 or 5 years. And just reckless, just doing some of everything.
And let me just to interject, because I myself at one point was pretty much out there. My testimony is not as similar as that as yours is, and I do understand that a lot of people deal with the pain of whatever happened to them in their past by trying to mask it with some type of drug or alcohol. And just to let everybody know that's listening and viewing today that it does not work. That you cannot mask who or what has happened to you
Right.
with doing that. So that is definitely an awesome testimony. So now how long did it take for you to come back into the will of God? Because you said you were addicted to cocaine for 4 years and the other things that you did. How long did it take for you to get back under that umbrella?
Ooh, I would say the amazing thing about God is the moment you choose him, you're back. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's hard. It's hard to explain it and really put it into words. That's how good he is. And that's how amazing he is. It's the moment you say yes to him and mean it and you're sincere for real. He's like, okay, come back. You back home.
Like you
Like,
never left.
doors were opening. People were calling me. I was traveling again. I was singing again. It was almost like that never happened to me. Like, even then, it was like it never happened. He caught me up. He said, I will restore the years. So it was like, I'm going to catch you up. Okay. You lost 4 or 5 years, a chunk of your life doing this. But I'm about to speed you up in time now because you said yes to me.
Right.
So it was just like favor just coming from everywhere.
Awesome. That's an awesome testimony. And every time you tell it, it definitely gives me chills, so I know what it's doing to somebody else. But that's an awesome testimony. And what's so crazy is there was a time that you were out there. I didn't even know. You're my niece. We saw each other, if not every day, at least every other day. And that's how well you masked it, that to the point where I had no idea.
And I was living in the house with y'all at one time.
Exactly, you sure were, yeah. And but that I'm just glad that your recovery process took place and God healed you and you're back to where you should be. And you are definitely blessed. I've seen it.
God is amazing. God is amazing, and it's an everyday thing, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not just I got delivered 14 years ago from cocaine. I'm straight now. No, you got to work at that thing every day. Right. Absolutely. You know what I mean? You have to work at that thing. You can't be idle. Anybody that have ever dealt with addiction, you can't be idle. You can't let your mind wander for long periods of time like that because it will take you somewhere you don't want to go. You know what I mean? You can't play with that stuff. When God brings you out of stuff, you can't return back to it. The Bible talks about it's like a dog returning back to his vomit. You can't do that. You know what I mean? When God delivers you and he brings you out, you have to move forward. There's nothing behind you that will ever benefit you.
Yeah, it's part of the repenting process. Turn and don't go back.
Absolutely.
And but we're happy that you're where you're at right now. I definitely want to tell you that. And now, so there was moving forward. There was another transition. You went through many, but this is another one. Another transition that you went through was going from your biological father into being a preacher's kid when your mother remarried. Okay, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that type of transition because that's not an easy transition as well. When you're used to one lifestyle and doing something for so long, and then you have to go from that to being a preacher's kid, that comes with a lot of weight. That comes with a lot of responsibility. Even though you are not the preacher, it's Bishop Brooks is the preacher, the man of God, but you're still under his roof. So how was that transition transitioning into a preacher's kid? How was that for you?
It was tough. It was tough because, first of all, it was just a tough transition altogether because my parents, well, my mom gonna get me for this too. I hope she's not watching. They didn't really transition us into them being married. It was like he was always around, so we called him Mr. Brooks for years. He's been in my life since I was 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was always around. And so we called him Mr. Brooks. So we went from Mr. Brooks to Dad like in a day. We didn't know they were dating. We didn't know that. We just thought they were friends. We didn't know anything. It was like they sit us down. They took us to Ruby Tuesdays. I'll never forget. And we had always been around Jessica and Jay and them anyway. So they were like, well, we were already like brother and sister. So we went.
Shout out to Jessica and Jay Brooks, because we don't want to forget about them too. They're family also.
Absolutely, so my brother and my sister.
Yes,
blood could make us closer.
Right.
So we sitting there at Ruby Tuesdays. Aunt Darla was there, my mom, Bishop, Jay, Jessica, Tia, and me. So we sitting there, and I kept asking my mom for days, like, "What's that green key on your key ring? What is that?" Oh, it's just a storage. It's just a storage key. I didn't know we were moving. We didn't know anything. So we sitting at the table, and they said, "Well, guys, we're married." We was looking like.
And you know what's so funny? I'm gonna tell you something funny, just to piggyback off of what you just said. I found out. I took a trip to California. Me and a couple of friends of mine. We drove to California. It took us about 3 days to get there, just about. And so when we got there, we got to our hotel room, and my mother called me. I called her. I'm sorry, and I called her to let her know that I arrived safely. And then she told me, she said, Lisa and Michael got married. I said, what? I said, I didn't even know, so it was a shock to all of. But you know what? I'm interviewing her next. I'm gonna get her. But
please get her. Please,
I'm super happy for this.
but just to go back to your original question, because we got off a little bit. But to go back to your original question, it is tough being a preacher's kid. They always say PKs are the worst ones. I don't think they're the worst ones. I think PKs have been sheltered for so long, and a lot of times our parents pushed church in us. They forced it. It was they gave us the foundation that we needed, but I don't feel like sometimes we didn't get the balance of church and the real world. So there's so much that I learned out in the streets, like sitting with OGs and just really like they just put me up on game on certain things that I'm like, oh, really? That's how that go? Or this what that means? I learned so much out there that I still use in my everyday life even now. Just wisdoms, just life nuggets, stuff that I can use and that I tell other people. But I don't feel like we had that balance growing up. So that's why it seems like PKs are the worst ones, because once we get free or from up under our parents, it's like we go buck wild because we never could do anything. We couldn't wear pants. We couldn't wear makeup. We could barely go skating. We couldn't don't go to the movies. It was so much that we couldn't do. But they didn't focus on the value of the stuff that we could do. You know what I mean? It was just always this what you can't do.
Right. That's crazy. I definitely understand what you're talking about. Now, let's I want to move forward because we're pressed for time. We have a little time left, and I want to get everything in.
Okay.
Sunday's Best. Now,
Sunday's Best.
How does Sunday's Best come about? How did you even audition for Sunday's? To start from your audition to you winning.
Okay, so Sunday Best, I was actually in hair school. Had a full clientele, everything. I love hair and makeup. I was in hair school, and somebody hit me up and was like, I've been following your journey. Shout out to Kenneth Wayne Daniels. He hit me up and was like, I've been following your journey. Because, at that time I was singing at clubs, casinos, and all of that kind of stuff. He was like, you need to audition for Sunday Best, and I'm going to pay for you and send you the audition. I told him no at first. Wow. Then my cousin Monica texted me the same day, me and was like, I'm sending you the link for all the songs for the audition for Sunday Best. Learn it and go audition. I took that as a confirmation. I was like, okay, because I said no at first. Called him back. I was like, okay, Wayne, I'll go. He flew me to Dallas, Texas. I auditioned at Bishop Ivy Hillier's church. My number was 4,113. I got there, stood in line like everybody else. I didn't go in talking about my mother is this person, that person, none of that. I auditioned like everybody else. They narrowed it down that year. I think about roughly 11,000 people auditioned. Wow. They narrowed it down to the top 100. After the top 100, they narrowed it down to the top 20 who's going to make it on the show. I was 21. I was an alternate.
Wow.
Somebody didn't pass a background check because they had a felony. And they moved me up to number 20. That's how I got on the show.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yep. That's how I got on the show. I packed my clothes twice while I was there. We filmed twice. We filmed twice a week for I think 6 weeks. Twice a week for 6 weeks. Every Tuesday, every Friday. 2 shows a day. And I packed my clothes like I know they're sending me home. I just know I'm going home. Please send me. I was doing stuff trying to get sent home and end up winning the show.
It wasn't meant to be. And you know what? I'll tell you this much too, really quickly. I came to one of the tapings. You got me tickets to one of the tapings.
Sure did. Yeah.
I came, and I'll tell you when I saw you perform, I was in awe because I was like, that's my niece up there, and I knew within myself. I said she's gonna win, and I just kept saying that to myself, like she's gonna win, and you did win. Did you think you would win though?
No. That's what I'm saying. I didn't think I was going to win. I didn't know how to compete in gospel. You know how we always like, it's no competition. We're doing this for ministry. It's like, how do you compete in gospel?
Right.
And so what I started doing was I started singing songs and was getting songs approved because the list was terrible. So I started getting songs pushed through and approved that I was already singing at church. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, and that's why I'm thankful for the training I got with y'all and with my mom and everybody, because that prepared me for that moment. How do I take this minute that I have, a minute? Because usually in church, you get to start off slow. You building your song. You building
right.
it. Right. I didn't have time to do that. I got 1 minute to show these judges what I can do and people all over the world what I'm made of in a minute. So you have to start the song off almost like you're in the middle of a song, but you're singing it from, you know what I mean? You're starting it off, but you got to have the energy almost like you're coming from a bridge going into a vamp.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. So let me ask you this. Moving forward, so you have a new deal now, and tell everybody about the new deal that you just recently signed with the new label and with the new company.
So we inked the deal with Legacy Music Group out of California, and the CEO, his name is Jovan Dawkins. He produced Why Not Me, and he's done some amazing things with a whole lot of artists. I'm grateful to be able to work with them, especially being able to work with Eric Dawkins. I've been wanting to work with Eric for years.
Phenomenal singer and songwriter.
Yes, and producer, and so he's the president of A&R there. So I get to work hand in hand with him on this new music. So it's been a blessing.
Awesome. Yeah, you let me hear a couple of snippets, and I was blown away. But now, this is a Mother's Day show, so I have like 2 more questions I want to ask you, and I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
The first one is, how did your mom impact your life?
In many ways. My mom impacted my life in many ways. Just being a role model, showing me how you can be a woman and love God and to persevere. I've seen her overcome things. You know, I've seen because I'm older than my sister, so I've seen the struggle. I remember when she was driving the BMW with a hole in the floor. Yeah. Like I remember her putting like a board down so you wouldn't see the ground. Yes. You know what I mean? I've seen her come up. I've watched her not give up. I've seen her cry in the car and wipe her eyes and go in church and nobody ever knew she was hurting, going through. You know, I've watched her strength. I watched her evolve into this mega legendary singer that everybody loves, that I have the privilege of saying that's my mom. You know what I mean? I get to sing on stage with her, and I'm messing up because I'm watching her. I can't even hardly come in on my part because I'm like, you're crazy.
I tell you, you and your mother's tribute to Mary was like legendary. It was epic.
And she jabbed on there.
It was crazy. But let me ask you this really quick. Last question. Top 5 dead or alive. Who's your favorite top 5 singers, dead or alive?
Ooh, Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Of course, my mom, Whitney Houston. John Legend, Oleta Adams.
That's 4. You can name
Marvin Winans. What? Marvin Winans, Bishop Marvin
Winans, yes sir.
Down.
Yes.
in his sleep can sing in his sleep. Like
yes, he can. Yes.
It's no competition there.
Yeah, that's
and then I gotta have an honorary 6th one. My 6th one gotta be Dietrich Haddon.
Dietrich Haddon. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Now, really quickly, tell the people what's next. You got about 30 seconds. Tell the people what's next for Tasha Page Lockhart.
I'm just pushing this music. Why Not Me is available to download and stream everywhere. Get the song. Let it bless you. We're running a challenge right now where the link is in my bio. Hit the link in my bio. Download the snippet of the instrumental of Why Not Me and post your cover of you singing Why Not Me, and I'm going to repost it on my page. So we're going to be starting. People are already submitting their challenges. So I'm going to be posting those starting next week. So you never know who could see you, discover you. You just never know. I think it's going to be something fun to do, and it's a way to help get the message out there behind the song. So that's what we're doing. We're pushing about Why Not Me, and look for new music coming out soon.
Good, absolutely. Listen, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to you. Thanks for coming on the show. You know I love you with everything I got in you. So
I love you too. Thank you.
I need not say more. All right, you take it easy. All right, love you.
All right, love you too.
Okay, bye.